Here's Sunday, September 29th, 2024. Hope you guys are doing well out there. And I just want to come in and talk to you guys just for a few minutes about what I have about the liners in which I've stumbled across regarding I guess I could call it, I mean, vastly it would be on some level would be infrastructure, I guess. I've read a couple of different reports, everything from the New York Post to Politico. And of course, I've also read a couple of liners in which, of course, they're trying to talk about the implications of a port strike for 2024. But I'm going to try to give you the gist of what I'm seeing. What I'm seeing is an issue. I've said this before many times, about how things tend to season and cycle, and when do they season and cycle? So every 4 years, you've got a seasoning and cycling of issues. They just kind of keep coming up. It's one thing you're seeing. You're seeing more MASKSs out during the DEMIC. With the return of the MASKS, you see the actual the threat from the International Longshoremen Association that they are threatening to strike if there's not a deal has not been struck. And these are the ports from Maine to Texas, I believe, that are a part of this a part of the issue here. Well, does it not strike you guys that these issues, the issues with the ports, the timing of it right now seems pretty much like a perfect storm to me. Um, Now, when we talk about, historically, of course, uh, the United States, of course, geographically, we have two oceans and we have the Gulf of Mexico. Okay, and of course, over 100 years ago, uh, they needed a way to get from one to move things from one ocean to another, and without having to go all the way around South America, which you know, out came the Panama Canal. And of course, in the 19th century, you had the Suez Canal. That was, the French were successful with that. Of course, there was recognized. A new nation needed to be recognized, because Panama was under the control of Colombia. Okay, uh, but the French, of course, had some success, and then of course they had some failures. There were challenges, but now it just seems like that the fourth industrial revolution seems to be the goal here. There's issues regarding, of course, I guess it was earlier, was it 23, 22, or 2023, regarding regarding negotiations, I guess, agreements with the actual laborers. But now the automation, there's other challenges that they're dealing with. Automation, striking a deal, wages being, actual reduction in their workforce. So it's a problem. But to me, it's also the perfect storm. It's a perfect storm to either thwart, or can you imagine if they don't strike a deal, not just what it means for consumers, of course there's political implications, but at the same time, I think that what, as I refer to the powers that be, they don't mind disrupting. As to me, it's also a part of the WEF, and Schwab's fourth industrial revolution, that they need to convince the governments need to do a great job of convincing the people that the disruption is all for you. It's all for your own good. It's all for your benefit in the long run. But eventually, of course, before the shipping containers, of course, I've read that, it was much more dangerous for these, it was much more dangerous for these workers to move the cargo. And then when it became an issue, when they moved to the next innovation, in which they were able to move these containers, that they weren't playing a jigsaw game, they were able to move the containers via like cranes, right away. It's going to reduce, it's going to threaten the jobs. It's going to threaten the jobs. So I just, I'm like, how long have they known? How long have they known that this port ship strike was looming? I mean, come on, it's September. They couldn't have just now known that that they were no closer to some type of deal or negotiations in September. It had to be known before then. But then, is it going to be a matter of, are they going to play the game in which, they're going to blame the good cop, bad cop? They didn't do anything. They offended the workers. Allegedly, this one is the most pro union, administration. All of these, these illusions. And I'm just saying, it's going to be, it's already, if you look at a lot of the shelves did not recover from what happened in 2020. A lot of the shelves have not fully recovered from that. But I'm just thinking, it's just very, to me, it's very interesting. The timing to me seems to be a little bit convenient for them to have this kind of a looming strike. And if it's not done by October 1, I think is when it's supposed to go into effect. And of course, you've got with inflation already. I just don't know what's going to, who knows? But I do think it's a perfect storm for a disruption. I think it's a perfect storm for the global, for a global disruption, the perfect storm for domestic disruption. And to me, it's all going to lead to, we're going to be begging for a solution any day now. That's why I think, because from one of these articles that I read, that because of the drought with the Panama Canal, they're not having ships getting through there has been a bit of an issue, but also with the Suez Canal, that these that there's been an issue even with missiles from I can't think of the name. It's almost like a Houdini, a Yemeni, something out of the Yemen groups, pushing missiles into the particular Suez Canal. To me, this is all, it's like all out war, and it's a global, it's a perfect global storm. It's a perfect global storm, a global storm. And it's not going to just be a U.S. situation. It's going to affect, it's worldwide. So I think that automation is going to affect everyone. It's already, the interest in work, I think is down. And I don't think that has been restored. I don't think so. Unions are not. But we'll see what happens. I mean, I just wanted to, but I find that it's a perfect timing for them to have all of the disruption. Is it going to cause people, is it going to cause people to not be able to buy things during the quote holiday season? And we've seen this before. We've seen this, supply chain disruption. We've seen this story again and again and again. But the question is, why now? Why now? But then also you read the reports about how things have been marked up for 1,000% due to the inflation rates. Goods are up 1,000%. You know, you've got, I'm telling you, it's just the perfect good cop, bad cop global storm that's approaching. And I don't know, I have no idea what, to me, it could mean a lot of things. It could mean, I mean, it could mean a lot of things. I just think that things are just kind of floundering right now. And I don't think this whole election season, it's just, it's reeking. It, to me, it's so many things are screaming right now. And I don't know what the answers are, but I definitely, between the two, I mean, you had one administration going out and another administration coming in. And we have all of this Inflation Reduction Act and all of these platitudes and all these things have not proven to have done most Americans are not feeling, they're reaching in their pocket and they're feeling their legs more than they ever have. Most of us are, you might be making more money than you've ever made in your life, but actually you're making less money because of the rates of inflation. And with any type of a port strike from one end of the seaboard down to the Gulf Coast is going to be problematic. But we did see that, like I said, we've seen this before. Los Angeles ports, we saw this back in 2020, 2021. But right now, I don't know, do I think it's going to have implications? It's going to actually, some people say shut down the election or whatever. I don't think it's going to shut it down, but I just think it's just, I think things are getting out of control, to say the least. I think their crime is up. More crime, more crime and desperation. But I think some people care more about their idea of freedoms, which always ends up costing somebody else something, more than their reality, unfortunately. Anthony Van Zant, how are you? It's been a lifetime. So I don't know. Let me know what you guys think. Let me know what you think in the comment section. Do you think this is going to blow over, or do you think this is the perfect storm for the materializations of the fourth industrial revolutions? Because every industrialization has either made the U.S., to me, it's almost like at a time the U.S. has been a leader, or the U.S., like there's been kind of like a globalization via technology. But if the U.S. is tumbling on that, then that makes the U.S. less of a superpower historically, since the industrial revolution. So we'll see. It could be. And then you think about some of the other things that we've seen. You've seen the infrastructure in terms of the bridges collapsing. To me, all of this is kind of playing into the same, I think symbolically, that this means that the U.S. is falling in their rankings. Their economic, their political, their economic, and their cultural stance is not anywhere near where it used to be. So if this port strike happens, it's like another tumbling, another fall, another like I call it Rome 2.0. It's another fall in our status, in our global status, our global standard. We're not leading in these areas. We are not. Technologically, we're not going to be, but then also from a global standpoint, if you've got the Suez Canal is having issues, the global issues and missiles and all of these things are into those ports, are into those ways, and causing, them to go around. I mean, this is like literally the infrastructure is being destroyed, or is collapsing right along with, you have a physical collapse and you have a symbolic collapse of the U.S. in the standards. So you've got a couple of things going on here. So yeah, but definitely this is it would be a huge setback. But then does that mean that the other nations will that mean that we will be price gouged and taken advantage of by the Chinois and the other nations that are, to me, pretty much battling it out to take the place as the superpower, for the Chinese to become the superpower. If the world becomes more, if Europe and some of these other countries become more dependent on China, will they take their place? Will they go ahead and take their place as the superpower in the NWO? Yeah, that's kind of what I'm on about right now. Because believe it or not, the actual automation is coming for every industry. Now, how well it does, is it going to be rolled out? It's going to be gradually rolled out. I think we're pretty powerless to stop it, because what did we embrace the wind to the steam, and then from the hands to the containers. So, and then from there to the, what else is next? It's just, it's a progression. So I think that here again, we are the U.S., just like the English language, arguably the English language kind of dominates the world, or has dominated the world. And it was, of course, because of the British, the colonizations. And then from there, you had the industrial revolutions. And then from there, once the U.S. kind of, reared their heads into politics, or post World War II, and then you had technology and all these things. We are certainly, the political, economic, and the cultural dominance, we are losing at least on 2 out of the 3 of those domains. The 2 out of the 3 of those domains, we are floundering. Politically, I definitely think we're floundering. Economically, we are floundering, no matter how many Inflation Reduction Acts that come along. And because, they shut down the Keystone Pipeline. No matter what side you think you're on, team red, team blue, white flag, whatever, they did shut that down, which created more of a dependency on foreign oil, or gutting open working the reserves. So I'm just thinking that we're not going to our place. We are being dethroned, or we're losing that. So we're going to be at the mercy of these other nations when it comes to goods and, the shipping. It's definitely, it's inevitable. Anthony Van says, afternoon. Good afternoon, Anthony Van Zant. Says, agree 100%. I'm thinking the top-down scale and scope is the real problem. I'm thinking every name of notoriety in view is a socket puppet, and their enemy is the world's general population, aka the fishbowl. I appreciate that fine analysis, Anthony Van Zant. Thank you so much for tuning in. But yes, there's some implications here that, if the U.S. can be crushed economically, that is the biggest. I think that's the biggest ticker, if you will, is the crushing of the United States economically. If you can crush the economy, then you pretty much can make the United States vulnerable, or we can be dethroned and more. Hang on a second. Sorry about that, guys. Yeah, so that's what I wanted to bring up. It's not just, the political implications, of course, for most people paying attention, the people on the quote left, or the left-right paradigm, rah-rahs, you know, they're going to have a hard time for the conscious people, for the people that have been paying attention. That narrative has not aged very well. That the Inflation Reduction Act has done so much. Oh, well, it's down this much. Oh, well, look, gas is down right now. That's just not working very well right now. It's not. And when you ask the candidate in question what she actually plans to do about this, she starts stammering and staggering and starts giving you these empty little, you know, dissertations on, oh, what it means to have a dream, or, oh, my family did this and my family did that. And so she never really has, she off the cusp, she is not as composed. She is not anywhere near as composed as when she was on that stage. She had the most content and the most material that I've seen her have when she was doing the quote debate. Because I'm sorry, people, for what we do not have statements. We don't have a lot of statesmen and stateswomen in this country. I didn't see what people, oh, well, who won? I didn't see a winner. I don't even know if I saw a debate. I think I just saw, you know, as I've stated before, you punch me, I'll punch you. You slug me, I'll slug you. Give them a good show. That's what I saw. Okay. And I just don't see, it's just more like it's a recycle. They recycle it. They repurpose rhetoric and crap from the previous elections, of whether it be their opponents or whether it be people from their own party. Like I said, we're dealing with political regimes here. And to me, we're dealing with an illiberal democracy. There's no pure democracy. There is no pure democracy. You might have a facet in which there is an actual voting process where it's an illusion that people have the ability. It appears that we have the ability to change our government. But what is the outcome? One party, they'll do just about anything to hold on to power. Even in the crisis, they couldn't manage to relinquish their emergency powers. So I'm thinking that this is going to be a season of, I think there are many things will return this season. It's just like a sitcom or a, oh my gosh, you go back to those soap operas. What is this? Stefano DiMera. Like all of these, the villains will return. Like I told you, the MASKSs have returned. Now this is a threat to the supply chain has returned, or to me, never really recovered. Or the facing on the shelves have not gone away. And just by the way, facing is something that they would do that I'm very familiar with. They used to do that at facing is something that I think CVS was pretty comfortable doing, creating the illusion that the shelves are full, but they're not. They basically just bring those items that are in the far back to the front. That's what facing is. And I think a lot of retailers or stores, they got used to doing that, and they have not fully recovered. And that's why people still end up going all over town, or like you go to places like Walmart, they don't, because of the way they buy and the way they're not like private owned, they can't just restock whenever they want, whenever they need to. They can't just go put those items back on the shelf. So, I don't know, to some people, holiday shopping is not going to mean a big deal to them. But to some that are going to go out here and buy whatever, who are going to go out here and spend a whole lot of money, borrow a whole lot of money for a season, and then not be able to pay it off until next season, or start the whole process again, with the debtor being slave to the lender. It's not going to affect everybody the same way. but it will have an impact. So I don't know. Let me know what you think in the comment section. Do you think that this is a, do you think this is, that the implications will only be political implications, or do you think it's going to be an overall effect that a port strike would have? Yeah, I just think that we're getting into a place in which we are going to be, we're going to be more enslaved. We're going to be controlled by what's available to us. And yeah, that's what I think. So let me know what you think about the port strike. If you know anyone that's a shoresman that works, in that domain or that industry, let me know. Yeah, let me know what you think. And I don't know, maybe I'll come back with an update. I mean, this just makes me think about the narratives that were like around 2020, 2021, about even like the ports in Southern California, where they were allegedly, oh, well, the containers are just out there in the middle of somewhere, just floating around. The sand and the salt is probably destroying all of those goods, and da-da-da-da-da. I mean, just let me know what you think in the comment section or in replay. All right, guys. I look forward to talking to you again. Have a great Sunday. If I have anything else, I will come back. Bye for now.